Janome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America. Today, I'm going to go over the AcuSketch app. The app is a drawing app for line drawings. You have the ability to bring in a background graphic and draw from that, or you can free draw. When you first open the app, it either opens to this page or it will open to the page where you pick your machine. So if you're on this page, you will go up here to the right-hand side and touch the pencil and the paper, and that will take you to where you'd set your canvas size, and you can pick your hoop or machine. You can change your units from millimeters to inches. You can preset in the box here how big you want your paper to be, if you want to use that, or you can select a hoop from the box here. When you touch where Continental M17 is, you will see the other machines that can use this app. Select the machine you're using, and then you can select the app the hoop you would like to use for your drawings. So if I wanted to use this one here, and when I select it, it changes my size to 3.93 to 3.93. If I'm here, this is our giant RE hoop at 11.02 by 18 by 11. If I have a big thing I want to draw, and maybe I just want our one that's closer to a 5 by 7. Or I may want to just make a piece of paper that's 5 by 5. Once I decide, I hit create, and there is the size of my stitch area, that whole red area. On the left-hand side are your tools. You have a pencil, you have an eraser. Your eraser, when you touch it, you have a wide eraser and a skinny eraser. Underneath that is the connector, the line connector. There are times when you want to select the line connector and not have the lines find the end of each other. And I'll give you an example of that. You can turn on using a background graphic. And this will take you to either your camera where you can take a picture, or you can go into your designs. And if I go to my albums, I have here's my AcuSketch samples. I can pick any one of these and bring it in to my workspace. And while it's in here, I can use my fingers to pinch it, smaller, larger, however I want to do it. If I want to rotate it, I can use the rotate on the right-hand side. If I want to make it bigger or smaller without pinching, I can do this kind of thing here. The color tab only changes the color of the line design. So if you are drawing over this and you're going to be using a black color, maybe you want your drawing to be blue, like I selected here. You cannot change, it does not stitch in this color when you pick your line color for stitching or for drawing. It doesn't do it in that color. You can put any color in your machine. So once you decide what you're doing, you can, I'm going to make it just a little, maybe I'll bring him down like this. And I'm going to say done. And it brings it back here to the drawing area. So I explain the tools on the left-hand side. Of course, what's grayed out right now is the undo and redo. On the right-hand side, we have, starting at the bottom, we have some settings. And here you can show lines drawn outside your canvas border. That means if I draw outside the red area, it will show those lines. It won't let me transfer those designs, but at least I can draw outside. I can put my grid measurements in units of inches or metric, and my canvas border you can see is red. If I wanted to make that a different color, I could. And my line drawing I have red chosen. So my red will be stitched over will be drawn over the blue. That is the actual drawing. In the stitch store, you can, and I'll show you the stitches when we get to the stitch area. You can purchase 3 more stitches for $3.99. All right, so we're going to call that done. Under the I is a tour on how to use the software or the app itself. Here we can use our zoom. This is zoom. This isn't resizing. This is just zoom if you need to draw it from a smaller perspective or a large perspective. If you wanted to have a grid on here, and this is set up because I chose inches, this is set up at inches. There isn't an option to change the grid itself. So it just gives you a grid to work from if you want. On the top of it are the paper with the pencil, and that's where you would go back and get a new start of a design. Or you could come to your folder and you could open something that you've saved. So here are some designs that I've saved, and I'll be talking more about these designs later. I'm going to cancel because I'm not going to bring in a design. And once I've drawn, I'll go up to stitch. So let's get to drawing. Now I use an eye pencil, but you can also use a stylus. Janome sells a stylus that has a clear little disc down by the point. And this doesn't, you don't want to take it off. This helps rest that on the glass while you're drawing with the point. So sometimes when I'm drawing, when it's so big, it's harder for me to draw. And this is a line drawing. Now I'm going to keep my line connector turned off, and I'm going to just start. Every time you start and stop, that will be where your machine will stop and start also. So I'm just going to start here, and it's just, I have my eraser on, so it's not giving me a color, so I need to tap my pencil. And here we go. There's my line. And it's nice that I have the blue behind there. Let's get my eraser going to get that little mess off of there. So I can see where I was here. If I want to fix that, I can touch my eraser. Maybe I need the fat one, and I'm just going to erase this area. And in this instance, I'm going to turn on my connector, because when I start this, I want to have it connect. So I know it'll connect. So let's get this going here. And I can see when I put that down, it's connected. And we'll go down there. And how that works is, let's say I was drawing these lines here and I had my connector on. Let's get this little thing drawn. It's going to want to try to connect. See how it connected that up? And that's not what I want. So I'm going to erase that. I would turn off the connector, and I would be able to put the little toes in there. Just like that. And they won't join themselves to the rest of it. A steady hand works good with this. Sometimes I have a good steady hand when I'm drawing, sometimes not. And I would just work my way around my design. Sometimes you want to think ahead. Some things you might want to put in before you do other parts of the design. Sort of like when you think about applique in your applique positions. And then I'm going to do the ears up here. Now, when you go, we take it to the stitch area, and I go to choose a stitch. If I want to try a different stitch, it will use that stitch on the whole design. So I have these little parts in here. So I'm just going to draw them in and then put in. And these are, when I scribble that in, let me take this one out. The machine is going to stitch around and in like that. Here we could do our nose. There we go. All right, if I like this, I can touch stitch. And now it will go to the stitch area. Oh, I forgot. Let me go back. I didn't do the whiskers on this side. And this would be a case I don't want my connector on, because if I had my connector on, see how it connected those up? I don't want to connect those. So I'm going to do undo and turn off my connector and just draw my other line here. There we go. And I'm doing this rather quick, so I'm not right on my lines, but that's okay. This was what it will look like. And what will stitch is the black line here, not my red line. So I can make some changes at the bottom here. I can change my stitch length. And if I lessen my length, I can make that black line line up better with my already drawn line. So now my stitch length is 1.8, which is tiny. I can use a single line, or if I wanted the stitch pack, I can restore it, which I've had it before. And I can pick one of these stitches to do this. Maybe I want this kitty cat in stem stitch. And in stem stitch, I have a choice of the width of my stitch. Here, I can change the width here. And I can change the length of my stitch. So if I want to make it smaller or closer together, I can do that as well. I can add, I can mirror image the stitch itself. And then once I have it all done, I can send it to the machine, or I can upload it to other apps if I have other apps. And now I do have AcuEdit, which is for our our 15,000 and our S9. I can send it to Embroidery Link if I want to work with it in there. I might want to bring it in there and add lettering to it, or put it with another design. So I'm able to do that if I wanted to. I could go up here to send, and I could select my machine. And if I had a machine that was on Wi-Fi right now, it would select it and I could send it right to my machine. Let me close this. I could change my hoop there too. Let me show you that. Once I select my machine, the hoop would highlight and I would be able to change my hoop there with the machine. When I come back to the drawing, when I touch drawing and come back here, if I want to save this drawing, I would go to my folder. There's my drawing. I'm going to touch select, and then I'm going to select the design by touching it, and then I'm going to add the lock to it. And what that does is when I come back, if I want to use this design or any of these designs, it makes a copy of my original that I can edit, and it keeps my original in the saved format. So I can always come back to the saved original, and then I can edit that to make other things or add other things to it. So I always, if it's a design I really want to keep, I will bring it in here and I will put a lock on it so that I can re-edit it, and then just hit cancel. And I could go out here to stitch and send it to my machine, and I'd be all set. So let me show you how picking something out of the saved area works. So I'm going to get rid of my cat. I'm going to go to create, open folder, and when I select the cat, there we go. When I select it, it gives me duplicate and edit or do not edit. So I want to duplicate it and edit it. So it's going to keep the original there, and maybe in here, I didn't put his toes in, so I want to make sure I'm going to put his little toes in like this. I could draw the toes in. Maybe I wanted to add a little collar on here, so I'm going to draw a little collar on my kitty cat, and I can resave this one if I want to, or just send it right to the machine. So that's how that works. And that is our AcuSketch app.